Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on who you are and where you are. Where you are, were, am, could be. I'm Charles, otherwise known as CP, CPO, WILIscredia, Savage Cinema. It's been a while. I haven't done one of these month in review things in at least 2 months, so we're doing a two for here. I realize that the movie content is kind of been a bit stunted, but all I could say is depression is a gnarly thing. And those of you who have made notice of the gaming content, that will not be here. The live stuff won't be here anymore. The gaming stuff will be on the WILIscredia Twitch. So if you enjoyed that, head over to Twitch. It'll be a bit easier. I realize that my channel is something of a junk drawer when it comes to content, but um, I, I understand. So the gaming stuff will be there, the live gaming stuff at least, and we'll try to focus mostly on entertainment, even though gaming is technically entertainment. I don't know why this is not popping up. I see you in chat there, fourth drawer down, but it has unsynced up. Always something. And as long as the audio is fine and everything is okay there, Jaden, yo, I don't know why this is kicked up all of a sudden, but it has kicked up. So this is frozen right here on my testing stuff, but I'm not seeing any sort of responses. I forgot that the really enjoyed Arc Raiders Depression Not Alone. Okay, so yeah, you had to have heard me to say that. I mean, that'd be some impressive guessing if you decided to just say that. All right, so anyway, going to be going through the movies I watched in February and March. I don't expect to watch a new film or a new to me film in the next 2 days. We have the big finale of March Hackness, and won't be really focusing on movies for the next 2 days. And okay, thank you, Jaden, for checking with that. I would love to highlight that. I should probably just take this down because it's just frozen. It's not going to matter. Okay. Did you say keep game stuff on Twitch? Yeah. Yeah. Twitch.tv/WILIscredia. Same channel name, same everything. It's just easier. It's just easier for a number of reasons. And I don't know. The audio setup is kind of a chore going straight. Never mind. Just I realize that people who have like Sean especially has been like, "Hey, you talking about movies anytime soon, or what?" So, message received. But yeah, Twitch will be the gaming stuff, the live gaming stuff. I might like do a clip or something, or a discussion. Like I think there's a discussion to be had about Arc Raiders because between Lapsed, Gray, and I, and even Warren, there's been a discussion as to some of the psychology where some people are just like, it's just a game, get over it. But some of us are like, well, why would they give you free will like that in a game where you're just supposed to help one another, or a game where you're just supposed to take one each other out? It's not cut and dry was what I would say, but I just think it's fascinating. I'm just new to this type of game. So anywho, let's get me to the bottom here. We're going to start at, I think I have the dates on these. No, we're going through my letterboxed diary. Yep, I'm over down here at the bottom, and even here the chat is just busted. I don't know why that is. It worked up until the last second. Anyway, so the first movie we'll be talking about, something I watched on the 4th of February, We Bury the Dead, which stars Daisy Ridley, someone that I'm a little smitten for and a little overprotective of. I have a blind spot. So if I say it's good and Daisy Ridley's in it, don't quote me on it. What I had to say was I actually really appreciate this movie for a bunch of things I would not think to look to in a zombie movie. First of all, the cinematography was a rather pleasant surprise, really rusty. Um, Certain shot choices and blocking had me impressed during multiple moments of this movie. The fact that this movie is essentially about the trauma and pain in things living members of relationships carry spoke to me in a rather specific light. So some of the subtext may miss some folks. I'd also say if you're looking for Ray of the Dead, you might feel a bit bored. While I'm on the lovely Miss Ridley, that accent, where is that supposed to be from? I don't have much to complain about, but that accent had me smirking. Yeah, I don't know where Daisy Ridley's character is supposed to be from. And I never ended up getting around to seeing that drama where she played like um, a Midwestern girl who like worked in an office. I remember like buzz around that, but I don't never got around to it. The title never came up. I saw the Daisy Ridley Die Hard movie. I saw that instead. But yeah, 3.5 stars from me. It is got that DR stunting. Maybe this might be a 2.5 if I didn't want to like stuff that Daisy Ridley's in. Again, there's the survivor's trauma, survivor's remorse kind of thing that's going on there. Interesting touch. It's not exactly blowing doors down as far as subject matter, but there's certain things that speak to me, and Daisy Ridley doing trauma about a lost loved one. They're playing right into my wheelhouse there. So yeah, 3.5. I would be guarded about my score for you. If you want to see every and all types of zombie films, this is I don't know. Watch it to check it off the list, but you don't need to go out of the way to see it. Ridley doesn't do much for me. Yeah, she's pretty, but I don't think she's much of a lead. I can't disagree with that. I don't know. I think I'm just smitten. I really wish the Star Wars franchise was something different. What did I see her in that she left that much of a mark? I can't remember what I saw her in, and I was like, oh yeah, more of that. I've drawn a blank. It was something like right after. It wasn't the train movie. It was something right around the late 2010s, and I can't for the life of me remember. Yeah, my blind spot isn't showing itself very well. All right, so next. Oh boy, we keep going. Twisted, which came out to streaming. I think that week. I saw it February 6th. I gave it 1.5 stars. It stars Lauren Lavera. Lauren Lavera, of course, the lead of Terrifier 2 and 3, technically. I'm rooting for the actor, but man, they got to put her in some dramas, or give her a lower tier role in a bigger thing. Because, all right, I'll just read my thoughts. This movie is rather extra. The production is flashy, the dialogue is snappy, but nothing really has any real weight to it. For as much as the movie gives with the flashy edits, it needs you to take the exposition at face value and not really be too concerned about the most interesting things about certain characters just being told to you. I think part of the issue with having a movie that is just jingling keys so much is that there's no real weight, no true tension or build up to things that happen. Things just happen. I know detectives have figured a thing out because they told me. I know Baltimore sucks because they told me. It really is a shame because Lavera does quite a good job selling the material. She's quite comfortable being something of a chameleon in the imbalance of the script and is charming with the snappy dialogue. Once again, however, because things are just told to us, the things being said and or performed have no real meaning to anything. I don't believe anything because what I've witnessed, but because they've told me. I may also consider this to be the movie to compete with Battlefield Earth for most unnecessary uses of a Dutch angle. This is the second time in as many years that I've seen Lavera in a film that is otherwise meh, but she's carrying things. I would really love to see her in a non-genre film, even if it means in a supporting role, if only to see how she stacks up in a more dramatic and subtle roles. Hey, I just said that. I just said that. Twisted was what I'd expect from Darren Lynn Bousman movies. Saw 2 and 3 are his best movies, which isn't saying much. Yeah, and it does the editing. With that said, the editing does feel very early era Saw. Um, yeah, I I don't know. Something that I kind of champion about horror actors, or it seems like mostly women horror actors, they get stuck, and I don't know what the reasoning is for that, but they can't cross over and do drama. I guess if I had to think of a specific thing is just because you're a big deal in horror, which is it's got a ceiling, doesn't mean you're but a feature role in other genres. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is probably the best, most popular uh, actress to come out of horror, and even she was she carrying anything? She was in comedies in the '80s, but that was really it. She had a supporting role in True Lies, but went back to Halloween in the '90s. There's something weird, and I can't put my finger on it, and I don't know what Hollywood's deal is, but for some reason, like horror actors, they cannot. Yeah, sure, they're leads in horror, but why can't they just be features in other films? Is what I'm curious about. I digest. Next. Oh no. All right, so Gray and I discussed this live right around this time. Watched it on February 7th. Corey Feldman versus the World. It is a documentary that follows Corey Feldman on his Angels tour, which was taking place in 2017. Why it took so long for this to come out is as good a guess as mine, but it is fascinating, like genuinely fascinating. It is available to rent on YouTube. If you have intrigue in a slowing down at a car accident type situation in relation to Corey Feldman, this pays off. Um, if you're interested in Corey Feldman and whatever the hell's going on in that world, I would definitely suggest watching this because it's kind of like a fly on the wall. But yeah, I give it 4 stars. I truly believe Corey when he says he was mistreated as a kid in Hollywood. The issues that appear to be repeating themselves in his little circle have something to do with the fact that he has never seemed to deprogram that mindset from his teenage years and is just perpetuating the cycle. Having experienced a portion of Corey and his quote unquote angels, touring the US makes you uneasy when you get the true feel of what is going on out there. Wild that the voice of reason ended up being a person asked to leave. It's ironically Spinal Tap-esque with the amount of turnover in this group. I wouldn't know who to recommend this film to. It is rather captivating in an alarming fashion, but I think it should be shown to any single person who tries to have their child in Hollywood to quote unquote play the game. If that child does not end up dead, this could be their future. Corey Feldman only references things that happened in the 80s because he apparently stopped aging mentally somewhere in that time frame. His popularity is far down from then, excuse me, and he simply adds to the cycle of dark Hollywood and the casting couch types of cliches. This film is a prime example of how people need to hear no, even if the people who they trust most. I don't know if this can be called a highlight of a cult, a Hollywood used to be that hasn't caught up with their age, or a child actor that never had the experience of having people tell him things he did not want to hear. But it is absolutely all of those things. Fascinating. Yeah. Um, when I was a child actor, and I was on sets and things, something that was, I don't know, something that casting people and crews and filmmakers found endearing was like this overt. See, I call it phony because it really is. I don't know. It's like over nice. It's the way you act with neighbors, to just be a happy face, and it's dishonest is what I would call it. Where you're like, oh my god, that's great. You're having a pool party. Like even with the tone, there's this disingenuous nature, and there were certain child actors that would do that like knew how to do that, and it frightened me because like if you're a 12-year-old kid and you know to be forward like that, um, like I don't want to call it sociopathic, but where are you getting those talents to like look the way people want you to look, to say the things people want you to say, but like have no sort of meaning or understanding behind it? And having said that, like there are times when in Corey Feldman's interviews and things, I've gotten this vibe of someone who just has not had people tell him, just be real. Don't do the thing that you think people want you to be, but just do the real thing. What do you want? What are you doing? And maybe not what you want, because playing that game, there's a point where you're under this illusion that you can do whatever you want, and people will just show up, and it's weird. Jamie Winstead have great post horror. Former was in two classic comedies, Trading Places, Fish Called Wanda. That's the '80s, and has done great indie stuff. Scott Pilgrim smashed Fargo season 3. Oh, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Yeah, she teeters. Um, I guess there's no real like A tier horror actress, and I guess that's something to be said. And maybe having a big time horror actress that can be a bit player in other stuff. I wouldn't mind seeing Lauren Levere in something like Fargo. That'd be interesting. But yeah, Corey Feldman versus the World. There's a lot of content on it. Gray and I talked about it for about the length of the movie. It's intriguing. Next, saw it also on February 7th, Exit 8, which may not be out in the US yet. Japanese film based on the game, which I learned both very quickly. I'm actually aware of the game, and it does not make this an unenjoyable experience. If anything, you'll appreciate the bookended story that is placed on this, which makes it more suitable for storytelling. A movie with a purgatory Groundhog Day element to it, and manages to be rather creepy even when you're expecting it. The less you know about the game, the better, but it isn't damning by any stretch. People who enjoy all of that content on YouTube that is backrooms type style will find this rather creepy. I give it 3.5 stars. I am familiar with the game, and I was fascinated or pleased, not fascinated. I was pleased with the ability to not specifically need like the gaming stuff and to have like a story at the end. The game, it's just like you're loaded into this train station, and there's this infinite loop thing happening. But the movie, they give you like something of a story at the beginning and the end. Person needs to uh, leave for a specific reason. It's interesting. Be on the lookout for it. I want to say it might be coming out in April, but yeah, there's a comment. Scotty Darker says, "I want to see this. The trailer made it feel like a bad dream where you're lost in a familiar place and you keep going in circles." It's pretty much what it is. Oh, here we go. All right, so our first oldie, our first catching up with Lost Time movie, February 9th. Happy birthday, Charles. I saw Dream a Little Dream, was fascinated by Corey Feldman and saw his IMDb list. And I thought, surely he's got to be great in movies that aren't Goonies, Stand By Me, Friday 4, Gremlins, Lost Boys. The Burbs. It starts getting a little thin. I can't name you Corey Feldman in a movie that I'm like, oh, Corey Feldman is carrying this movie. I cannot do that. And alas, we have 1989's Dream a Little Dream, body swap movie with a twist, sort of. I give it 1.5 stars. This is one of the strangest movies that has a fan base that I've seen in quite a while. There's like 5 different types of films in here. It's tonally all over the place and is cut to mimic absolute confusion. I wish I believed any of the characters' motivation or felt invested in any of them half as much as I felt apathy and confusion. I think this movie is what the Michael Damian, the cover of shit. Well, anyway, it's the opening 5 minutes or so are cut like a music video. It's very specifically like linked up and beat sync to a song in the beginning, and it opens like these two guys live in an apartment together, but nowhere in the rest of that movie does that match up. And instead of there being like a body swap, Freaky Friday type thing, there's a dream, and only one person gets the Freaky Friday experience, and it's Corey Feldman, who is running around with Jason Robards in his body or whatever. It's weird. It's really weird. I would much rather watch Freaky Friday or 13 going on 30 or whatever the hell else, like Father Like Son, 18 again. There's like a bunch of these. This would be my least favorite rendition of this. This is the two Coreys after License to Drive, and you could tell that studios were just throwing money at them because they were getting teeny bopper money. People would show up if they were in, a car ad. And I don't know. I would suggest watching it just for, I don't know, the absolute car wreck that it is. It really doesn't make sense. It just like happens, and you have two really, forget the term hot, or a popular, I don't want to say arrogant, but they're definitely hot shit at this moment, and it almost seems like Well, actually, Corey Feldman's in this more than Corey Haim is. I wouldn't let Corey Feldman be the lead of any film. Any film. It's a shame because I think of the two, Corey Haim is actually a better actor. That might be something of a spicy take. I don't think I would leave either of them to anchor a movie, but um, it's just it's odd. It's odd, and it doesn't really try for anything. It's just like, hey, we know teens are going to watch this. Shit, how many teens came and saw License to Drive? So here's us in a body swap thing where you can tell at this point Corey Feldman was like picking his own outfits and shit because he has a bunch of repeat outfits. Which I mean, you bring your own wardrobe. It's frustrating from a filmmaking perspective because usually costume design and shit, there's like a storytelling reason for that. I realize that sounds insane, having a storytelling reason for certain outfits in something like Dream a Little Dream, but yikes. Um, yeah. What's the big deal with the Coreys? 80s babies love License to Drive and Dream a Little Dream. Neither of them did anything for me. I couldn't tell you. I have something of a nostalgia spot for License to Drive. Rewatched that. I don't know why I didn't register that. Rewatched that around the same time and was like, yeah, this is like rinse just dog shit. This is something that I don't know if you can make a movie like that today and have people go to the theater. You could probably make it and have it be like a video rental thing or a VOD thing. I mean, keep in mind that when these movies were starting to pop off, rentals, VHS rentals were a big deal. So, you get a low to mild success in the theaters and you have kids rent these things like every weekend. And it really, really has its value there. It'd be interesting to see like what the top rentals were. I don't know if you could have that stat, but like the top rentals for every age range. It'd be interesting to see like by year the top 10 rentals based on age range, but like they didn't have the internet back then. How would they keep those statistics so extensive? Anyway, so I saw Dream a Little Dream, and in the same day, happy birthday, I saw Dream a Little Dream 2, which came out 6 years later. I did myself no favors here by just reviewing it, saying half a star, awful. It's worse. It's so worse. So they're officially like they've eclipsed at this moment, and yet again, Corey Feldman is the star of this movie. The connective tissue to the first Dream a Little Dream is gone. No more dreaming. Now it's magic sunglasses, and each people have to have a pair of the sunglasses. Like, I would have preferred if they just outright ripped off They Live and added some sort of wrinkle to it, because I thought that in my head, like immediately, like, oh, sunglasses that you can become or your thoughts command the other person to do a thing like, oh, I should take my clothes off. And the other person wearing the other sunglasses, they take their clothes off. But no, these two people, when they wear sunglasses, they want to dance around like Michael Jackson. Have you seen that yet? Corey Feldman dancing like Michael Jackson? It's not good. It's not good. I don't think it was ever formally released to theaters. I was very angry. I don't know if I was very angry watching this because I had just watched the first one. I don't know if I was angry because it didn't have the same style as the first one. But man, if Dream a Little Dream 1, which came out in 1989, at the peak of the two Coreys, like being, mega stars that, can't go to mega mall without, being swarmed. If that was them at their peak, this is them not really understanding that it's over. Um, it's bad. It's bad, and you can't you can't just be lazy and show up. Um, I did myself no. I didn't expect to not do a monthly thing for February, but me just telling myself awful is not enough. I apologize. I would not recommend watching Dream a Little Dream 2. Good luck finding it because I don't think there's physical copies of it. You'd have to rent it from Prime. I think it's Prime. At least in Europe, it's on Prime. And one of them, I don't remember which one it was, but one of them, you have to rent it on top, which I wouldn't do that. Like, at all. At all. I feel bad. Excuse me. I feel bad for Feldman. He was talking about abuse in Hollywood like 15 years before Me Too, but people didn't believe him because his personal life was a train wreck. Yeah, and then he did it again. That was something that you should watch. Like, if you're interested in that, you should watch the People versus Corey Feldman documentary because this movie happens right before he comes out and does his movie. The optics of everything are just awful because he wanted to make a movie. He wanted $10 million to out the people that were bad. But there's theories that I would have questions about that he was actually protecting someone. And one of these people was actually abusing Corey Haim. And that never came out until after Corey Haim died. And Corey Feldman doesn't really press on any of the information he released in that movie because lawsuits can certainly be involved in there. Corey Feldman has not disappeared from Hollywood. He's been trying to be relevant. We might do a live reaction or live commentary to Lucky Fritz, which is a Corey Feldman-led comedy that came out in 2009. I am not watching that for free, but I forgot who sent the trailer. But it's interesting. Interesting in a comical way. Yeah, it's a solid doc. He gives a fair shake while being very critical of him. Yeah, I think it's just like they step back and like, all right, we're filming what's going on, and you're just, I mean, you could process it in different ways. Like if you're like all about Corey and you're only seeing things through his eyes, you could probably have it a certain way. But when he's having that exchange with the actual professional musician, and she's like, "Wait, what is this?" And she like gives him notes to help him, and he's just like, "You're harshing the vibe." Like, dude, this is work. Do you want it to be better? Or like, do you just want to hear people say, "Oh my God, you're incredible"? Yes, yes, the chocolate bar guy from Friday 5, and then he died. So that's that. Um, yeah, no, I feel bad. I feel bad for Corey Feldman, but at the same time, talk to a therapist. Please talk to a therapist. Something that me and the missus saw. Again, can you tell? Can you make the connection? We were on something of a Corey Feldman kick, looking for Stand By Me, and this popped up. So this is Stand By Me Doraemon, an animated film. So we looked for one thing and stayed for another. Uh, I wouldn't know how to explain this movie. The cat robot thing that loves to eat those 89-cent McDonald's burger looking things did far more harm for this kid than anything. I was cute and snarky with my review. Again, I didn't know I wasn't going to be talking about these movies for 6 weeks. It was Haim. It was Haim. Feldman was his friends. They lived together. um, and Haim was not interested. Well, Haim, all right. Anyway, this animated film about a giant cat thing that is sent back in time to make sure this kid makes the right decisions and asks. It's kind of like Back to the Future coded. Uh, Animated future cat thing comes back in time to make sure that this kid is dating the right girl, or I forgot what, but like the hijinks are silly. Uh, Not the worst thing in the world. I'm an adult. I didn't hate it. 2.5 stars. Next, saw it on February 16th. I took a break after all that Corey stuff. The Mexican. For the first time, I had seen this. 3 stars from me. A fun enough time that borders on too silly in certain moments, but is an otherwise great example of how Verbinski should be trusted with comedic toned films. Yeah, this I I'm curious because Gore Verbinski, this is one of his first, if not his first major film. Having a Brad Pitt you know, wasn't quite the great big deal that he was or is back then yet, but he was a bigger name. Julia Roberts in this, bigger name. James Gandolfini, at the early height, the early stages of Sopranos. Just an all right time. I kind of slept on this movie. I don't know why I never got around to seeing it, but I was getting prepped for Gore Verbinski. Gore Verbinski, his like dark comedies, whether it be Mexican, Weatherman, Rango, uh, and there's something else we'll be talking about in a minute. Gore Verbinski's, uh, I like Gore Verbinski directing comedy, and I want to see. There was rumors of him doing a Clue remake for a while, and oh, I would love to see a Clue remake in his hands. Um, but yeah, I took too long on this. It's not my favorite Gore Verbinski by any stretch. Not my favorite comedy of his, but it was a good time, and I kind of. You ever get these movies where you go a few years, a few decades, and you're like, why did I never see this? This is one of those cases where, man, had I known, I would have watched this on a flight at some point. That would have killed a nice 2 hours better than me watching ridiculousness for 2 hours straight or something. Anywho, next. Oh, Mercy, which is what I need. February 17th is when I saw this. I gave it 2 stars, which is like a glowing review if you listen to the internet. I don't think I can remember a movie getting progressively more absurd and awful in just the last 30 minutes or so. But here's the newest version. A mostly screen life movie where Chris Pratt's character has 90 minutes to prove his innocence in the murder of his wife. Pretty straightforward, interesting idea. If I were rating the first 2 acts, this may be something of a considerably more welcomed. No, yeah. But at around the third act crossover, things just keep raising the bar so much that the logic stops having anything to do with anything happening in the film. A smaller complaint I would have is the accelerated nature in this movie is the same issues I had with last year's Screen Life darling, War of the Worlds 25. Time simply does not exist in the same way here, and things happen nearly instantly no matter what in the world a person, where in the world a person is. You gotta fix that. But the movie needs this character to be at this place doing this thing at this moment. So, ta-da. In the back of my head during watching of this, I felt this, why the hell do people have a problem with this movie to the level they do online? This isn't perfect, but it's fine. Then around the 1 hour mark, oh, then about 10 minutes later, oh boy, it's getting worse. Final credits. I see now. Yeah, that tracks. Yeah, again, if I'm only grading the first hour, interesting, interesting touch. Minority Report in a different light, different version. But oh my god, the last half an hour or so, the first hour, whatever. The next 10 minutes, what are you doing? The next 10 minutes after that, this is actually making everything else worse. And then the final 10 minutes, you're like, wow, how could 1/3 of a movie make the entire film feel fucked? And that is what I'll say the last 20 minutes. I won't even say the last third. It is brutal. It's brutal. It doesn't make sense. And again, like, man, thank God everyone is so close to the courtroom location because you only have an hour and a half, and thank God there's people right around doing things at the exact time in the exact location that you need them to be. It's part of the issue with having something that's all taking place like in the 24 style, the Jack Bauer, that style. A minute is a minute. Jacob says Mercy might be the worst scripted film I've seen so far. It's a toss up between that and the Vince Vaughn movie I just saw. Oh, is that the thing that just came out on Hulu? The Mike, Nick, and Rick and Steve. I don't know. I think it was something that just released to Hulu, like exclusively to Hulu. But I think it's just a bunch of names. There's the I in Mike or Nick. Nick goes all the way down. But I have that in the to be watched. That and Avatar 3. No rush. No rush to watch that. Yeah, that one. Okay. Well, that'll slow me down. Oh, next I saw it on February 19th. This is independent film called Sweetness. 2 stars I gave it. This movie is something of a total mess. Some of the characters' motivations aren't as believable as I expect things to be. There's just too much coincidence happening in this story to be invested in any level close to misery. I would suggest just watching that instead. So, girl's going to a concert. She's like really into this musician guy who happens to overdose, but also hits her with his car as she's walking home from the concert. And then it just gets weirder and weirder. And because she's a diehard fan, she's going to make sure that he, straightens up and stops doing drugs. But it's an interesting idea. How you put these characters in this situation is hard to believe. I mean, there's a lack of budget that, like, they're hindered with certain financial restrictions that you can tell. And I understand if you're like, well, if you cannot financially tell the story you want to tell, don't. I understand that, and I can agree with that sentiment to a certain regard. But I would always think that if you're stuck, if your production level is stunted, you better bust your ass and make everything about the story itself really shine. And I get that is not as easy as it sounds. I'll keep telling you, go watch Crawl or Die. It's not a movie that's like, you're not getting true lies or anything, but it's a shoestring. It is a micro / no budget. I think they shot it for $5,000, and it's just this claustrophobic thing. And they worked with their restrictions and actually focused on this like claustrophobic thing where like they were crawling in a tube that just got tighter and tighter. It kicked something off in me. and they worked within their means. I think they're doing a sequel any moment now, any month now. Terrible. The title is a shortcut to Bob and Alice. Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice from the late 60s, even though it has nothing in common with that film. Yay. Yeah, so Sweetness, modern version of Misery, but not quite as fluid and entertaining. But you could do worse. Hey, I've seen this. All right, we'll stick with it. Punchline, I've seen that before. I saw it on the 20th. Gave it 2.5 stars. Might be a little generous on that. This is a nice movie about funny people who have sights on making people laugh for a living. You can tell this movie was made at the height of the comedy club boom of the 80s because a lot of things surrounding the story just don't compute to anybody who's gone to a club. Typical version of Hollywood capitalizing on a thing without really understanding what gives the thing that appeal. As a comedian, this flirts with moments that have tremendous impact in being a performer, but then completely misses the mark for most other moments in the movie. Not a believable movie to represent what the thrill of being an entertainer is, but decent enough movie about a woman who chooses to be a partner and a family member when she could have comedy to fill that void for her. Not awful, but not great either. Yeah. The comedian, the person who's invested years of my life into the craft, this movie offends me. But you know, that's me bringing my own baggage into it. If you watch this and you're like, oh, I just want a movie about, comedians, it's fine. It's very 80s. I think this is the last time that Tom Hanks did like a comedy. So it was either this or The Burbs, and he was all right in it. Very energetic, very charismatic. It's not terrible, but I watched this a lot before doing stand up, as a kid, and I thought I liked it. Then I did stand up, and yeah, comedians having lockers at a comedy club is kind of funny. The same 8 or 10 comedians performing at the same club every night. Yeah, Sean says I watched half and bailed. Just not vibing with me. Yeah, it's old. It's old. It's 80s comedy, and it's not very believable. I liked the idea of there's a moment in the middle there where Tom Hanks is like bailing on medical school to be a comedian, and he thinks a talent scout is showing up to the club, and like he's got to get stage time, and he's got to go do a set again, which is weird because if you were on stage, and it's the same night, unless there's multiple shows, why would you go back on stage? And if people were in the audience for the same show, wouldn't they be like, what, we're getting an encore of this guy again? Besides the point, this is more of like where my mind hurts with this movie. But it turns out it's his father, and he just like hits a wall. It was interesting, but it doesn't really go anywhere after that. I just watched Lenny instead. I watched that in film school. I have not watched that in 20 years now. I really need to get to that again. What do we got next? Being Eddie. Speaking of comedy, see, can you tell my little patterns here where I get in like some sort of mood? I'm like, oh, let me watch this now too. Watch this on the 28th. Being Eddie, the very producer-friendly Eddie Murphy documentary. Eddie Murphy, of course, a producer on this film. So you're not going to be hearing about his fling with a prostitute in the 90s. You're not getting too much uh, investigative journalism here. You're just getting his history from basically his perspective. It was cute. It was, man, he lives in a fucking airport hangar as far as his house is his mansion is concerned. It was nice seeing him and his family. The guy's just like a regular dude, man. Setting up a little table where he watches YouTube and shit, and just has a laptop where he's just punching away at things. It was I don't know. It was heartwarming, but 3 stars. I have something of a bias towards the subject matter, and this man is responsible for so many of the warm feelings, the pangs of nostalgia that are associated with enjoyment for me. Having said that, it is on the more sanitized version of a documentary. There isn't much struggle to speak of in this film. And well, they say if you don't have conflict, what even is the point? But this experience is like having some of my greatest feelings and memories projected back at me. I get people wanting this to perhaps go over some of the difficult, but at the time I watched this, I just needed that familiar drink that makes me feel good. This is, oh yeah, that is nice, the documentary. Yeah. Yeah, Puff Piece is fair. Um that that date, February 28th, is a very rough date for me. I don't know if there's more stuff going on here, but I watched this movie on a day that I always have a bad time. So this could have been like a warm blanket movie. I get it. And Jacob's got a point. I would agree with that wholehearted. 3 stars here. People versus Corey Feldman, 4 stars. Jacob says, fucked up childhood star doc, greater than Puff Piece doc. Agreed. I do want to see Eddie Murphy's, like, Netflix throw money at him to make his puppet movie or his puppet special. I want every ounce of that. Being Eddie, love Eddie Murphy, but you did make Norbit. You're always to blame for bringing that into the world. No, no, I'm not with you there. Eddie Murphy. If people don't like Bowfinger, and it's a cheesy movie, but it's supposed to be a cheesy movie. I think Eddie busts his ass playing 3 or 4 or 5 characters, and sometimes it misses. But I'd rather him try and miss. I'd rather an Eddie Murphy miss than an Adam Sandler miss, if that makes sense. But yeah, a Puff Piece, sure. Huh. Also on February 28th, Scream 7, the worst Scream film. Scream is a very solid franchise. Do not get me wrong. It could be the strongest of the major slashers, stronger as a whole, the entire franchise. Stronger than Halloween, stronger than Friday the 13th, stronger than Nightmare on Elm Street, stronger than Child's Play, stronger than Saw. Well, Saw isn't really a slasher. Stronger than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, stronger than Hellraiser. Like, I don't even think it's close, to be fair. Stronger than Psycho. But Scream 7. Scream 6 was pretty bad. I can understand the argument for 3 versus 6. 7's worse than 3. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just bad. It's just bad. I've rewatched it since seeing it. What the fuck? They shouldn't have made this movie. Okay. 1.5 stars. Make no mistake, this movie just shouldn't have been made. I just said that. If you consider the production history, the reasonable line of thinking would be, well, it was a really great script that needed to be made no matter who was in it or making it, if the thing went ahead. It did go ahead. The script was not something that needed to be made. Certainly not under the Scream franchise banner. This is easily the worst film in a series that has been rather solid over the course of its 30-year run. Nothing matters. Contrivance is absolute king in this movie, and you have no investment in anything happening. characters, stakes, emotions, etc. All of it is just doing some slasher speed run. The only real positive I could think of was the out of character for the franchise gore. This feels like an entry that could have popped onto the scene in the late 2000s following the Saw slash Hostel era of gore fest slash torture porn. But the issue in that is there's no true creativity in the kills. It's just gory for the sake of being gory. Funny that AI gets brought up in this film because this is something that if that AI could have wrote, shot, and acted in that would have given me more to care about. Don't let the release date fool you. This is a first weekend in January horror film that just so happens to have been released 6 weeks too late. Awful. Uh, 1.5, gave it 2, and I thought it was harsh. You thought you were harsh? Scream 7? 2 stars is harsh? No. I think I dropped something. No. No. I think that's where the hierarchy of just how solid the franchise is. I think because we're all used to Scream movies being like 3.5, 4 stars and higher. We're not used to the fall off being that high, but no, Scream 7's bad. Like real bad. Bad, bad. I'd much rather watch at least 2/3 of the Friday the 13th franchise than Scream 7. You know, the stuff that's not good in Friday the 13th, there's some fun to be had, or nudity, or gore. Um, Scream 7 is just blood and CGI blood sometimes at that. It's just, hey, Sydney, we got Sydney back, huh? Hey, Stu. Except it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, spoilers. It's Guy, but it's AI is just the modern version of It Was All a Dream. It's just that version of it for this generation. Anytime you watch the movie and it was like, oh, that was all a dream. Like you feel like, what was the point of that? And they could have done. I would have appreciated and been willing to go with the thing if it just was Stu somehow was still alive. Just fuck it. You're on your 7th movie. You're a horror franchise. What are you worried about? Just do it. Just do it. And they could have done a thing the way they did Billy in 5 and 6, like have him be like a fucking force ghost or whatever. Just the fact that they were so rustled and trying to figure out how to make this movie and with all the things going on behind the scenes, you couldn't pull back and really try for something? And the answer is no, and they got rewarded for it. The highest grossing movie in the franchise, and it's the worst one. So they don't learn a lesson. And that's where I get frustrated with like the diehards in horror where I just give me new stuff. I don't care if it's good. And then we just get them like force feeding us whatever the fuck they want to give us. And people aren't really being honest about what they enjoy. I sent numerous shorts and TikToks out there. Let me know if it's only, you know, Sydney's back. If that's only it, then please just say that. But if it's not that, if there's something that's happening in the movie that's like, oh yeah, this is great, please tell me because I'm not seeing it. And I don't know. I'm trying my best not to have like, blind spots, like franchise goggles. But dude, half of Friday the 13th is bad. I'm not trying to fool anybody by that. But Scream 7's bad. Can we at least admit that? Just admit that. I get it. Sydney's back. You don't want her to be offended and seeing people online saying that it's bad, but it doesn't change the fact that it's bad. And if it is good, what about it is good? Why do these 3 mental patients, why should I give a shit? Sorry, no. AJ says, I'd rather watch Halloween Resurrection before Scream 7. Oh, I don't know if I would go that far, but yeah, it's low. The only nice thing I can say about Scream 7 is that Neve Campbell, it seemed like she actually wanted to be there, unlike Scream 5. Otherwise, what the whack as fuck. Yeah, a couple of dozen $1 million will change your your morale. I'm almost certain of that. Next, watched it on March 4th, and we're officially into March. The Moment. I give it 2.5 stars. I'm unfamiliar with Charlie's work, but I definitely think I got what the film was going for. I chuckled a bit and found it rather wholesome and or sweet by the end. Like a mockumentary about an entertainer in a genre that I'm not entirely familiar with. No, Charles, it's camp. Which are you talking about? Are you talking about The Moment? Or are you still talking about Scream 7? I don't know. I might be on a slight delay. So Jacob says, no, Charles, it's camp, in quotes. I don't know if he's referring The Moment or Scream 7. But Charlie XCX, setting up a big show, and the record label is getting a high profile director played by an actor. What's funny is they actually did show Stu being alive, but test audiences didn't like it. But once again, giving test audiences total control is a bad idea. I cannot legally argue with that, but man, if a certain middle movie of a slasher trilogy was what they showed test audiences, would have been a better experience. I cannot talk about this. The Moment is better than Hurry Up Tomorrow, so there's that. Hard agree. I'm quoting your average Scream fan. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's camp. Right. Thank you. Yeah, so The Moment, I don't know. Some of it, I've never felt as old as when I was watching this movie. Like certain terminology, I was just like, a lot of this feels like TikTok-y style words, phrases and shit. But at a certain point, I was like kind of getting on board with, what things were intending to be. And this director was basically hired by the label to do things a specific way. And it's like Spinal Tap under a different skin. And, if this movie gets like modern kids to go watch Spinal Tap, cool. But yeah, I'm tremendously ill-educated on this musician, but I kind of dug the experience. Like I'd much rather watch The Moment 5 times than Scream 7 once. Does that movie rhyme with Between Shills? Between Shills. Oh, all right. Scream Kills? Oh. Yes. 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 Next, Cold Storage, 2 stars. I liked The Moment more than I liked Cold Storage. Hot take. I am rather confused after experiencing this movie. It looks great, but that's where my appreciation ends. Throughout the movie, I found myself with my head cocked, just not really caring about the events happening in this film. It feels like a movie that is playing in the background of another movie you're watching. It looks real and legit, but none of it really registers in a way that I feel invested in the advancement of the story. Yeah, like it's too like too glossy. Like it's very vibrant. And what the hell was the movie that came out? It reminds me a lot of a different movie that came out a few years ago. Um, just weird, and it's not like there's anything bad about it. There's not like really bad performances, but it feels like if you were to have a movie that it takes place on a movie set and like this is the movie that they're filming within the movie, if that makes sense. Like it would feel like something like that. Like it's something that looks legit and real, but like you don't really give a shit about it. And the only reason like you're kind of invested in it is because the characters that you enjoy are actually in it. And it does something for the main story, the bigger story itself. And it's just like this assembly package to a bigger deal. The problem is none of that is the case. This is just like a movie that feels like it is a movie in a different universe that something else should be much more important. And it's just odd. It's just weird. I kind of wish, but I have no excuse this time. I watched this on the 6th. Um, this isn't a first time watch either. Zathura, this space adventure. I gave it 3 stars. The Jumanji but space shit movie is decent enough time, is a decent enough time. I will say that I'm really glad that Jon Favreau's passion project that he was using Christopher Moltisanti for inspiration on fell through. That's a Sopranos reference. Otherwise, we don't have this legendary path to Iron Man. Yeah, so Jon Favreau does this. Lighting's a little weird in this movie. There are times where it just feels like a little dark, a little awkwardly shot at times. But Zathura to Iron Man is where that path goes. And man, I'm so appreciative for Iron Man. Um, I I like this just a little too old, at a point where Jumanji was like right in my wheelhouse as a kid. This is, I'm not a kid anymore, driving around and working and shit by the time this came out. But it's fine. It's not quite Jumanji, but it's different. And I forgot Kristen Stewart was in this as like the older sister. That like eh, odd thing that they do in this movie, this pseudo Back to the Future thing with the sister. But yeah. So 4th drawer down says Zathura is surprisingly good in my opinion. Yeah, no, I didn't hate watching it. Um, Emily was watching Jumanji, and then we ended up watching this after that. And I don't know, 3 stars is something that I'm safe or I feel comfortable giving these movies that I know they're not great, but man, they hit some warm spot for me. Are you sure you're not a kid anymore? I'm not. Mentally, I'm not. I remember liking Zathura more than Jumanji. Haven't seen either since I was 10, so I couldn't tell you if I was right or wrong. You're both. It's it's fine. It's fine. Um, both Zathura and the original Jumanji have certainly much more charm than the Rock era Jumanji movies. Was that 2? Is it 3 of them now? 2. I think it's only 2. Might be 3. I don't know. The Next Level, whatever. That just feels like, mega budget slop. This has charm to it. I'd rather watch Zathura as much as I didn't hate the new Jumanji movies. This had like heart, and I liked that. Soon there will be 3. Okay. Yeah, see, like that's how important those movies are to me. It's just they're all they're there. Next, this was the one I was waiting for a while. I really wanted to see this at Fantastic Fest. Um, I was I was doing remote coverage, and they weren't sending any links of this. Gore Verbinski's Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, 4 stars. Watched it on March 10th. This movie feels like it will either be a hit or miss with people. It hit with me. I quite enjoy Gore's humorous work. This feels to me like some sort of bizarre hybrid of They Live and The World's End, but with that Verbinski charm. I know this may bother some people or may not work, but I need that Clue remake made by this man to be made by now. Kindly. Yeah, I need Gore Verbinski making Clue. Mega budget slop should be how most commercial movies are labeled now. Yes, accurate. Yeah, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Um, some of it is like obvious with like, hey, phones are out to get you. But I don't know. We didn't learn from They Live, and we keep having these movies that are like, hey, maybe technology isn't something that we should just be as trusting of as we are. And this is a bit more like dark in some of the subject matter and the way it you know I don't want to call it cynical, but there's moment like the opening scene is, you know, Sam Rockwell's character is doing this for like the 117th time, where he's going back in time to get certain people to do this specific thing where they have to, you know, give a certain hard drive or something, a virus, and they keep failing, and he's just like worn out, and he's just like doesn't have faith in specific people, and uh, I it's odd. The opening 20 minutes or so made me feel like we were going to get something much bigger. We didn't get something big like that. There's this CGI cat thing that is fucking cursed. It's not that's not big that I was expecting, but I was expecting, I don't know, some sort of experience, like just realizing just how many of these people, why, you know, we've had, or Sam Rockwell's character has had experience with them and they've let him down. But it really isn't that. It's just, you know, here's this journey with these people and why they're important. Um, I don't know. I feel like that opening 20 minutes and hearing about how many times he's done this and like how familiar he is with certain people in the diner, it set this high bar and to that it didn't match up. But other than that, I really was pleasantly surprised as at a movie that was kind of dark. Um, yeah, this I don't want to spoil things, but there's a world's end element to it. My best comparison is They Live in The World's End. Maybe a little bit of a teeny bit of no, that'll definitely spoil it if I say that. But there's hints of other movies in there, but it's Gore Verbinski's comedic style is wild, and fucking Sam Rockwell. I need him in like 5 movies a year. Uh, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is the Everything Everywhere All at Once of this year. Yeah, fun, but don't think too much about it. That's fair. It can fall apart quickly under scrutiny. Yep. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. I've heard good things about. Yes, I would watch it. 4 stars. This might be my front runner for the year so far. We're a quarter of the year way through 2026. This might be my number one so far. I shall watch Scream 7 in a few minutes. I have to see this train wreck. You don't. You really don't. But best of luck. Oh, you might want to wait because we might be doing a Scream marathon we're gonna watch all 7 in a row. But you do you. Next, oh, the Louis Theroux documentary, Inside the Manosphere, which is on Netflix. I gave it 3.5, and I watched it on the 14th, which is just over 2 weeks ago now. Somehow both easily definable and absolutely captivating at the same time. Perhaps it is due to the nature of irony being pure drama, and well, the hypocrisy and double standards featured in this doc is overflowing. Yeah, um, it feels redundant at this point, but there still is this like dude bro, I don't know, manosphere culture thing that like I don't know. Is Andrew Tate still like cool? Because we're not over that yet. Um, you watch this movie and you're like, oh my god, these people are fucking shills. And I don't know. It's so straightforward to me. I don't know if it's just because I don't buy any of that shit, literally and figuratively. But these people like hawking things and trying to sell stuff while they're telling 15-year-old boys that they should treat women like shit. And uh, yeah, there's a sequence where Myron Gaines. It was something of a spoiler because I don't know why I knew this, but Myron Gaines' girlfriend, who's in this movie, was not his girlfriend. So I knew some element of things, and to listen to the discussion about how he talks about what their arrangement is and how there's a one-sided um I forgot what the term he used was, but she's faithful, but he has freedom. And then Louis brings her into the room and asks her about it, and she's like, "We didn't really talk about that." And it's like you could see on his face, Myron Gaines's face, that he's like flustered. And when Louis talking to one of the employees at his like podcast building, Myron Gaines tells her to shut up, and it's just like that's all you need from this movie. That's all you need is like that 15-minute segment. And I don't know, like how can you watch that and be like, yeah, these guys are on the up and up. These are people that I should model everything in my life about. Um, just that's part of the dog shit about the internet and social media. Just drive around in Lamborghinis and do dumb shit, and also somehow have like meme coin shit that you're selling, and all it's so paper thin to me. But the fact that the movie this is a, a less entertaining version of like the Corey Feldman documentary, where like it's just fly on the wall thing. It's less so that because Louis kind of interacts with these people, but he gives them so much rope to hang themselves with, and oh boy, do they tie that noose! And it's just fascinating hearing these people talk about what the right thing is, and what should be done, and then them doing the exact opposite. It's wild. Yes, Myron is the fresh and fifth guy. Yes. What is Andrew Tate in jail now? No, he should be. We live in the worst timeline, unfortunately. Yeah, I was talking about this with the missus. Bernie Sanders came out, and a lot of people said we would like him to be president, and then the Democrats said, "Well, how about Hillary Clinton?" And then the rest of the world said, "No, we'll just take Trump instead." And that was where we went wrong. We wanted Bernie Sanders, we got Donald Trump. And I couldn't tell you why we got him a second time, but we could have had Bernie Sanders 3 times, and we don't. This is the worst version of anything. And of course, you have all this other shit going on. Problem is social media makes it easy for that type of group to gather in the millions. Yeah, and outrage culture and, like, rage bait is it gets clicks, it makes money. It's disappointing. This is one of the times where, like, my depression saves me and also, I don't know, hinders me in a way where I can't register emotion for that shit, but I also at the same time, like, yeah, no. I'm not giving you 10 seconds of my time. But I understand that, like, if I were 16 and, like, my fucking hormones were just driving through, I would love to have a reason to blame things not going right with, certain girls I like or whatever, and just, go down this rabbit hole and just having blaming it on whatever the fuck my, algorithm's suggesting me, and just dangerous. Uh, I hear Charles, it's gonna be crap, but like most Scream movies, I have to see this, but yar. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah, Louis Theroux's documentary on Netflix. It seems like every year, especially like on the the British end of Netflix stuff. Last year it was that adolescent series. This year it's that. You guys want to take notice that young kids, young boys, are being spoken to by people that maybe they shouldn't be looking up to? Maybe, maybe. Listen, America's fucked. We're a lost cause. But Europe, you wanna get involved in this? You wanna take hold? It's the least surprising movie, and I think I gave it 3.5 stars because it's just so transparent. Like, oh yeah, of course. But I don't know if someone needs to see that to be like, oh, these people are fucking frauds. Thank God. What took you so long? Oh, unfortunate. Next, I saw it on March 16th, Harlem Nights. First time I watched Harlem Nights, directed by Eddie Murphy. I really find it impressive the amount of talent that is in this movie, not to mention the incredible costumes. However, the insides, the guts of this movie just aren't there. There is nothing more than the shell of an impressive cast and looking production. There's no other charm or convincing performances here. This movie doesn't have an identity as much as it looks like one that should. Decent enough gangster comedy that otherwise is a bit short on laughs, kind of a letdown. Yeah, Richard Pryor as the lead and just kind of like scaled back. Like it seems like his energy level was never quite there. It's weird. It is an ensemble piece, but no one really grabs the floor. And, no one like fills this space at all. It's just kind of like all, you know, a bunch of, you know, 2 bits out of, no one's really giving 5 out of 5. It's just like people giving 2 out of 5 energy and no one really filling in that extra 3 empty spit. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. But, no one's really full bore, and because everyone isn't giving full bore, there's this, like, void that isn't being filled up with anyone. And sure, you have, 5 people in the scene that each combine to be 10. You take their 2 each, but with that, you're still missing, like, major chunk of charisma and, just power. It's it's not terrible. It's just a letdown. Maybe if it was Harlem Nights sounded like it would be a banger. Prime Eddie Murphy alongside his idol, and for my money, the comedy goat. No argument here. Maybe it was made 5 years earlier, it'd be a classic. I don't know. Yeah, I I don't want this to be the reason that I don't like it, but I'm wondering if maybe they didn't let Eddie Murphy direct his passion project first. Maybe like get him used to directing something that isn't like this is kind like the cast and everything is such a big deal. Give him something less important to him, and I guess to us, to like let him direct. I don't know, let him direct Coming to America. Although that might have been hard with all the makeup and stuff. I, I I'm curious to know if you let Eddie Murphy direct something, like have him do One for You, One for Me. All right, you're going to direct Vampire in Brooklyn, and then we'll let you do Harlem Nights or something like that. I don't know if that would have made any difference, but um, this shouldn't have been his first movie. Harlem Nights is more of a cult classic, if anything, but I think it has to do with the cast, nostalgia, etc. Yeah, the cast is incredible. You know, the problem is you mute the movie and you're like, oh wow, this is great, but you put the sound back on it. And sure, there's some back and forth, but like it's just not it's not peak. As much as there are like heavy hitters on the screen, it never really feels like something like oh my god, this is we're watching a moment right now, and it's unfortunate. Oh, speaking of unfortunate, easy for you to say, unfortunate. The Dresden Sun, which is an unfinished movie. That's the most polite thing I can say about this. It's an unfinished movie. One star from yours truly. If I didn't recognize some of the actors who are very much what they look like today in this film, I would have assumed this had to be some sort of early 90s era disc-based cutscene movie within a game. Back then, all of this FMV stuff was new to gaming, so there wasn't a proper understanding of how to incorporate these types of visuals and storytelling back then. That was 30 years ago. This isn't cutscenes from a game. It just doesn't look or feel done. Yeah, the CG's it's not linked well at all. Um it's like this cyberpunk like heisty movie thing, but you know, Stephen Ogg's in it, Christina Ricci. I would prefer it if it were a cutscene movie that like you had a game that you were playing like 10 hours of and you would get little cutscenes from this every, 15, 20 minutes or whatever. No. Um, I don't know. It's definitely unfinished. That's the most polite thing I can say about this. There's so much that happens in this movie where it's like they cut stuff. They had to cut stuff and didn't have money for this thing and that thing because it just I don't know. It doesn't flow well and it doesn't look good. It looks like they were aiming for something that was $50 million and ended up using two. I, when you're doing like a cyberpunk CG movie, if you can't pull it off, it's going to be glaring, and it's glaring. It really took me out of the movie. The amount that this is, um, just under budgeted, under flourished. It just, it's, it's bad. Why does this look like the Temu version of Ready Player One? Well, yeah, the cover is that not good. Like the cover looks better than anything in the movie. So whatever the hell that's worth, bad, 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 bad. Oh, next, good. Send Help, which I gave 3.5 stars. Just watched it last week. Rather shocking how this movie does absolutely fine just being a stranded on an island movie until the third act when things truly pop off. You don't see movies in this genre restrain themselves like this lately. And 14 people quite enjoy that. That's quite a vague whatever from me. Yeah, Sam Raimi, when he hits, he fucking hits. I am shocked that this movie for 2/3, like it's just this woman that kind of gets shit on at the office, and she's I she's a fan of Survivor, like the TV show Survivor, and I kind of I kind of wish that wasn't so overt. Like it's like, oh, of course she's a fan of Survivor, and that's how she's able to, survive on an island. And you have to put up with that because most people in today's era, if there was a crash landing on a deserted island, they'd have a hard time putting things together. But it's enough. It's not like a complaint or anything by me, but it just felt like a bit too much exposition. But for the first hour or so, it's just like, oh yeah, this, the office employee that kind of gets shit on by the boss is gonna have to make sure that they live. And then, something happens where she doesn't want them to get rescued right away. I love me some Lost, so it had some hints of stuff like that. And for a long stretch, you're like, all right, so this is just, they're gonna get rescued, and like that's gonna be in the movie. No, no, and the third act really, really spins out and becomes like its own little thing. Like you have the first hour and 10 minutes where it's just like this stranded island thing, and then you have this whole other thing happening in the last half an hour or so. I just really, really enjoyed it. Like really kind of shocked. I really wanted to love Send Help. I liked it more than I didn't, but the third act could use some work. Huh. Yeah, I think I was just so caught off guard by it. I I'd have to go back and watch it. I think the fact that it like shifted is what like shocked me, and that I didn't really expect what was happening. So I guess the fact that I was stunned by something, I didn't realize that movies can still do that. There's a scene in that is ripped straight from Hard Candy, but nowhere near as effective. Oh, oh yeah, yes. Next, How to Make a Killing. 3.5 stars. I don't know what's worse, the fact that for a dark comedy, this felt like it played it safe, or if by today's standards this is considered safe. It has a certain amount of charm to it, but it just feels like something we've seen before, not unlike something like Cruel Intentions or American Psycho, but with far less charm. That's not to say it's missing charm outright, just seemingly void of that thing to make it special. Yeah, Glenn Powell, no, no, for a while I thought Glenn Powell was like the male counterpart to Sydney Sweeney. Shit, they were in a movie together, but it's having a rough year with what happened with Running Man and now this. I don't hate this movie, but as much as I love American Psycho, there's very similar things here, like tonally, but it just happens. Um, it doesn't have that like that charm. The thing about it that makes you darkly laugh at things that are happening. Um, it's just a guy who's set to inherit a bunch of money, but he's got so many relatives in the way, and he just slowly starts offing them. I don't know. I think there's a couple of things you could have done with that to make it both, I don't know, uh, tense while also being darkly funny. It's a cat and mouse kind of thing where it never really does that so much. Um, I don't hate it. It's just for this type of movie, there are other movies like this I would rather watch. And it's not even just one movie. There's two or three that I'd much rather watch for like American Psycho is at the tippy top, but there's a couple of others that I would probably go to over this. Um, it's on the higher end of the movies I've seen so far in 26. That's not many. I don't think I've seen 30 yet, but there's just something that's missing from it, and I'm just kind of bummed out about it. Oh, let me take a drink. Okay. Hey, what's happening? What's happening? Stop that. Stop that. What are you doing? I'm not doing that. Please stop. Please stop. Why is this doing that? Is something happening? Am I leaning on a key? Looks like it stopped. That was weird. All right, so this movie, this movie, another man. I watched a lot of low budget movies in the last couple of weeks. This movie's called No Choice on VOD, 2.5 stars. I perhaps unfairly expected this movie to just be the other side's Unplanned, and it really isn't that at all. The movie shows its budget, or lack thereof, quite a bit, but there are moments that feel right out of a David Lynch film, which sort of makes the cheaper scenes a bit of a letdown. This movie isn't devoid of some wince-worthy moments slash dialogue, but the nightmare sequences are rather startling. It speaks to something very real, that people have these hopeless moments that end up spiraling, and is certainly something I would encourage some studio to maybe make a higher profile version of this script, maybe with some punch up in some of the stiffer moments. Yeah, so girl gets pregnant on a one night stand thing. One of the issues I have. This is just like a preference thing. The actress looks very young. Um, she's she's apparently over 18 in the movie, but she lives with her mom and she's taking care of her mom. She works at like a convenience store, which the convenience store is uh, they didn't have money to put like bootleg food on the shelves, and just the budget's just hurtful. Um, it just a bunch of optics of the movie that's like, oh, it's hard for me to process this information. A young woman has a one night stand with a regular customer. Um, Condom breaks. Uh, she works at a convenience store and doesn't want people to tell her mom that she needs scans, a Plan B test, or what. And it's also very expensive. And it spirals. Um, it's not quite, the other side's Unplanned. Unplanned is just propaganda. I wouldn't call this propaganda for pro-choice stuff. If anything, it's brutal to see how people in certain financial corners can get really fucked over um, by not having access to certain things. And if anything about this movie, there's something of a horror movie element about it. There's these nightmare sequences that are very horror movie from the character's perspective, and very David Lynch esque. Um, but uh, if you want to understand the perspective of pro-choice and like what a worst case scenario can be, if you think about a child that is brought up in a house where the grandmother is a drug addict, can't take care of herself, and this baby that would eventually be brought into the world would be left under the care of someone who's high off their ass and not really able to take care of themselves, let alone a young kid. You should be able to process this information and be like, yeah, maybe it shouldn't be that easy to put like anyone on this planet and just like not have any sort of screening process. I am of the belief not everyone should have kids. I don't think anyone, just because you can procreate, just because you can, you know, plant seeds, doesn't mean that you have the responsibility to, you know, take care of a life, and I think financially that's part of an issue too. I think if, you're less than paycheck to paycheck, if you can't pay for, a prescription, you're doing so much disservice to whatever that baby has to experience. Um, but this movie is more about this girl and this like snowballing effect of her keeping a secret, not having money, and she's late to the job for one thing because she had to go out of town to get a test, and she does a specific thing to lie at the hospital, and like she wants to get a blood test, and she's in a state that um can I say abortion? It's not legal, and the doctor is sort of helpful, but also not, and then it has this horror movie element to it where she's like just horrified and she has no one to truly talk to. It's it's cheap. It's a cheap movie, but I think it's an important movie, and I'm certain that people have had some sort of experience like this, and that scares the shit out of me for a number of reasons. For the mother, for the child, um, and unfortunately, we can't seemingly have conversations that people don't wanna have, and if this movie helps that, then so be it. Um, wait, yeah, my computer was having something of a stroke. 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. Never, rarely, sometimes, always tackled the same idea but executed a better. Great film. I'm gonna write that down. I don't know why I'm gonna, I still have massive depression, right? Never, rarely, sometimes, always. And 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days. All right, I'll try to take one of those in sometime soon. So it's a 2.5-star movie for me. It's ambitious. There's moments like there's these nightmare sequences that are interesting. I really wish I wish maybe the filmmakers made some sort of proof of concept scene where they could have got funding for this, but I don't know who the fuck's throwing money at a pro-choice movie that is also something of like a horror like you, you've got to get this movie funded in like New Zealand or some shit. It, it sucks saying that, but I don't think you're going to get an American company throwing money like that after something like this. Maybe, yeah, maybe even France, but France, you don't want France making a movie like that because they're gonna introduce struggle snuggles because they have to. Um, it's unfortunate because you have things like Unplanned, which is just outright propaganda. It's the same type of movie that God's Not Dead. Like it's that same like infomercial type style where you're just like none of this is believable. It's nowhere near to the counterpart to that, but um, there's some grittiness, there's some realness to this movie. I just wish it didn't feel like a play so many times, an under budgeted play. There's stuff there that I don't know. I would love to see them go back and like redo this. You might want to check out Never Rarely if you don't want to be depressed. I will warn you that 4 months is who would like that territory. All right. Well, well, thank you for the warning. Both films are about women who end up in this situation and the lack of a safety net. Yeah, I mean, I watched Lilia Forever, and that was that someone who lack of a safety net. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Next, Wuthering Heights. 2 stars. My love for the beauty in the cinematography and the wardrobe is matching my absolute hatred for the characters in this movie. Looks fantastic, full of unlikable people to follow. Yeah, I have no other notes. This is one of the more recent movies I've watched. I have no other notes to add to that. I fucking hated this movie. And 2 stars is pretty strong for me. It looked good. It looked very good. It was I would rather just mute it and, watch it and have it like be a fish tank movie, with just, images on a screen while I'm, I don't know, knitting a sweater or something instead. But yeah, I was just turned off by the characters. There wasn't even like a, wanting to like or wanting to dislike the characters. I just didn't like them. It could be a me thing or what, but yeah, not great. Not my favorite. Next, we just witnessed this 2 nights ago. Man, I watched 3 movies in 2 nights. Monster Dog. You can watch this movie with Doc and myself. I gave it half a star. Moving pictures to exposition that never truly matches one another. 80s slop. Nothing matters as much as the movie would like you to think it does. The opening music video thing is all you need. Yeah, Alice Cooper in this as a I don't know, fucking filmmaker guy, a musician, and he's with his filmmaker crew. Um, it's not good. Uh, it's only been I've only slept once since watching this movie, and I needed sleep after watching it, and I haven't really slept on my thoughts of this movie. Emerald Fennell nails the cinematography and production design every single time. She also misses the mark every single time. Yeah, I don't know. If you closed my ears and I watched Wuthering Heights, I could have been fooled into thinking it was a much better movie than I hadn't any experience knowing. But yeah, I'd much rather watch Wuthering Heights than Monster Dog. Doc keeps putting me through some of these interesting movies. To be fair, I put Doc through the entire uh, Human Centipede trilogy, so getting one over on each other. The fuck is a Monster Dog? The next movie we watched in that back to back is Demon Wind, not to be confused with Taco Bell farts. 1.5 stars. My review is I only have questions. Yeah, these people, guy shows up back to his hometown in this like lush mountainous area that just around nothing. And his father's died, and he goes back to a house, but it's destroyed. But if he goes through the doorway, it's actually the house from the past, or I don't know. It's like this portal shit where there are these demons in this doorway portal thing, and people die. But then you have like these dream sequences, and I don't know. I saw this movie second in that double bill, and I don't know. Has Doc shown you Society yet? No, no. I think Society is something that I I've heard good things about. I don't know. I'm not trying to shit on Doc. Wuthering Heights was a disappointment. I was really hoping for a return to period piece romantic tragedy, but nope, no, 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 no. All right, Demon Wind again. Both Demon Wind and Monster Dog. You can watch with Doc and I. It was over on Doc's channel just a night ago. And rounding out the movies I've seen for February and March. Drum roll, please. Melania. The Amazon Prime film that is currently in the top 3 on the platform. And this goes back to that Scream 7 thing. People will watch this because they need to know. They need to know how bad it is. It's fucking bad. Literally spends the opening 20 minutes choosing dresses to some of the most confusing needle drops in a documentary, and expensive licensing at that. They open with Rolling Stones and then Billie Jean. Like, those aren't cheap fucking songs to put in a movie. I thought it was ironic that some of the lines, like the first 10 minutes is just her walking through a hallway, riding in a car, and like her, looks like close-ups of her eyes looking out the window. And I thought it was interesting that there was an oddly timed sequence where there's a line in the Rolling Stones song, "R word murder." When that part of the song was on, they showed someone that maybe could be confused for either of those things. Just an interesting tidbit there. But when you think about Melania was introduced to Donald Trump by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I had a tongue trip there. Ghislaine Maxwell introduced Melania to Donald, but no more talking about that. Yeah, it's her like picking out dresses for the first 20 minutes. I feel very good about the staff full of immigrants working for the woman who has set up a cyberbullying platform. Not like any of this contradicts public messaging from the husband, right? A vanity project that maybe just doesn't care about how tone deaf it comes off. Yeah, like the first thing she says in this movie is, "So you people want to know what it's like? Well, here it is." And I don't know, trying to be as open-minded as possible. Like if you're a big time, oh, I'm too low. If you're a big time, all right, you know what? Fuck it. We're just gonna do this. If you're a big time MAGA person and you watch this, is this exciting? Like do you feel better about watching this? Like, gas is ridiculous expensive. Healthcare is ridiculous expensive. Food is ridiculous expensive. And, things just cost more. But at least you got to witness the first lady pick out invitation designs and pick out dresses and talk to her husband on the phone, and as he asks her if she watched the election, she says no. This is the same documentary where she says people want to know what it's like to be a member of a family and nurturing, cultivating a husband, a child, an online campaign. And it's just really her picking out dresses and walking in hallways. Um, it it's fucking awful. Like, again, I'm not gonna fool you and tell you, "Oh, I'm quite neutral about these people." But if this were, I don't know, if this were, I'm trying to think of like I Jackie O. You make a documentary about Jackie O, which you've made films about Jackie O. Natalie Portman quite good in that, but that's a fiction. Um, there are certain first wives that they're probably there's something to be had there, but there's just nothing here. There's no substance. Like when you think about the first couple in Donald and Melania, do you really even think about her at all? Like, what is her and her Be Best campaign? She talks about that 2 or 3 times. She gets on the phone with the first lady from France, and they talk about things that they wanna do. They wanna make sure, or France, they're making sure that kids don't get on social media until they're at least 13 or something like that. And it's like, wow, maybe, maybe things like that could happen in America, but, like, again, understanding that online bullying is happening at that exact moment from your husband. It just it's so tone deaf. Um, on top of all of that, what does it matter? What wh why do you need to see her choosing dresses and walking down hallways and have a really like, swanky set of needle drops that, like, I don't know, it felt like Scorsese was trying to make a movie here with all the really, really high profile needle drops. Gas is only gonna get more expensive now that we're spending billions daily on another war we just shouldn't be in. Lady, we see how miserable you are every time you two are in public together. Dude, that's like, this is a big event for him. He calls her on the phone, and he's like, "Hey, did you watch the election?" She's like, "No, I didn't watch it yet." And he's like, "Yeah, we won. He gives her the score or whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, I won every swing state." She's like, "Yeah, I was probably gonna watch on the news later." And then both of them are, like, completely content, being done with the conversation, and she hangs up, and he's like, "Alright, well, I gotta go do this." And, like, that's that, like, it has to break some of the illusion for people. Like, if you think, "Oh, man, I wanna see the first lady and, the president, like, what life is like for them outside of the spotlight." You're not getting that. If anything, it's just like, "Oh, yeah, these people don't spend time together." That's the only thing. Then, you know, President Carter dies, like, in the very beginning, and she somehow makes it about, "Oh, this is odd because, last year my mother died," and I'm not trying to, listen, we all deal with loss differently, but it's weird. This movie's basically about Melania. I would almost prefer them to not bring up uh, President Carter passing, but it seems like that was like an introduction to leading you into the fact that, the anniversary of her mother's passing is around the corner. And then another tone deaf situation where she walks into uh, St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, and the church has been cleared out for her. And you could see people waiting outside, either just flocking to see the first lady or waiting to go into the church so that they can pray. But I don't know. I feel like if you're high profile like that, you can get a priest to come visit you. You can have something like that happen. Why would you close down an entire church to just say a prayer or something? I I don't know. Like I'm financially fucked. So perhaps it's me just being like, are you fucking kidding me? You guys have so much money. a cartoonish amount of like gold villain shit happening in their apartment. Their I don't know, their floor of a skyscraper. Like it's just if you didn't have the details of what these people are, you wouldn't think of them as the good guy. Um, it's I don't know if it's just money embezzlement, then fine. I'm not the right person to be judging this based on anything, but as a film, it's not. As a documentary, it's not. Um, as a human being who has so much frustration with our country and how we treat immigrants, it was infuriating seeing how many people that were helping Melania make a dress just outright said, "Oh, I was raised in insert country here and moved to America when I was 2." Like, yeah, you should leave. You shouldn't be allowed in this country, right? Because we weren't born here, right? Uh, and there's a bunch of that. Like the hypocrisy on everything is it just too much. I just don't like the current regime a bit too much to properly gauge this, but I don't I don't like I'm trying to think. There was that documentary about the people who did the Jan 6 stuff. Um, I thought that that was interesting. Homeland? I forgot what it was called, but I'm very much not with that. But as a movie, I thought it was fascinating. This not the case. I didn't like The Apprentice, although that was like more fiction. I do my best not to just have my outright hatred for a person or disdain for something going into something, but like this movie just does not break with me. It's just a no-go. Say what you will about the Obamas, but Michelle had presence and supporters loved her. Do Trump supporters really care about the plastic ball of a partner? I've never heard a Trumper mention her. Yeah, I was trying to think. Jacqueline Kennedy is probably like the first lady. Betsy Ross, probably like for a ton of reasons. Maybe I mean maybe Nancy Reagan, like she was a big deal. Uh, no one wants to hear from Hillary Clinton ever again. Um, it might be Michelle Obama. The last 30 years or so, if there was a first lady you'd want to hear from and be interested by, Michelle Obama might be it. If Michelle Obama was in this documentary and this is what we saw, I'd be like, the fuck is wrong with you? I actually like you less because of this documentary. Like, there's no, like, I wish I remembered the opening sentence where she's like, oh, people want to know what it's like. And after watching the movie, it's like, did you show them what it's like? Like, there was a term she also used in the beginning where she's like, I'm going from being a private citizen to whatever the fuck. And it's like, you're a private citizen. You live in a fucking mega mansion in Florida, and then you have this fucking whatever the fuck tower in a skyscraper in New York. You're not a private citizen. You have security guards everywhere you go. You have people that are bringing dresses to you. Oh, this is what a private citizen is. Are you hysterically drunk? Because if you think, oh yeah, this is totally what people experience as private citizens. I I don't I don't know. I bring way too much of my own feelings towards this, but I really don't think I am. Um, it is bad. Tone deaf Succession, but with boring characters that aren't characters and also were in hell. Uh-huh. As far as First Lady goes, Todd Lincoln is fascinating. History buffs, no. I'm sure it's not that bad. I have nothing against Melania Trump. her husband. I don't hate him. But he has a poor choice with this war? Sean, what choice? There are Trumpers that are against this war. Poor choice? And this is why we don't talk about politics. Poor choice. Brother. Tell me why we're fighting this war. Tell me why European countries like, no thanks. Made a poor choice. Yeah, he could stop any day now. He could just pull back and say, I fucked up. Doesn't do that. He has said that we've won the war. We're in talks to have a ceasefire. They're backing out of it. There is no war. He's contradicted every single one of the things he said. The fact that the guy ran on no new wars and just decided, oh, the Epstein shit's getting really gnarly. Time to bomb Iran. And on top of that, if you don't even want to make the Epstein connection, there's this fucking insider trader thing happening with both the stock market and the predictive markets, that there's suspicion behind how people are making money off these overnight decisions, whether it's Venezuela or this. He made a. No, I got it. I got it, but I don't know if Americans have died. Americans have died in this, forgetting the fact that 160 schoolgirls died. You know how much of a threat Iranian schoolgirls are to the world. I don't know. Every time I hear someone on that side say something like, "Oh yeah, we're America first," what 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 do we need to do in Iran? What do we need to do in Venezuela? Are we still the president of Venezuela? Yeah, but he's never war pres, Charles. No new wars, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, when people say it's not a cult, and every time he does something that 6 months ago, it's like, oh, no one would ever. Anyone who does that is a moron. Like, you can literally find quotes by Donald Trump where he says a thing that he does the opposite thing. Where, like, if he says a thing about Obama and he says, "Oh, Obama's going to go to war with Iran because he doesn't know how to make fucking executive decisions," or he's projecting against whatever the fuck, and then now you have him doing the same thing. It's comical, and I'm not getting into this. I'm not getting into this. Yeah, Melania is terrible. It's terrible. I don't know what to tell you. Again, if you're a fan of that end of things, please tell me what about this movie is interesting or captivating or like new information for you, and how it's not tone deaf that she has a church closed down so that she can go pray, as a private citizen. Biden's brain was soup, but at least he pulled us out of Afghanistan after the last two guys said they would, but we didn't. To be fair, Biden, it was something that Trump signed, and then he just had to, at the last minute, had to just stop. They just left all their shit behind. If you want to give him credit for that, okay. But if Trump talks about doing something bad, he will actually do it. We wanted Sanders. We wanted Bernie Sanders. The Democrats gave us Hillary Clinton, and then they gave us Joe Biden. And then we got Trump again. We didn't get what we wanted, at all. We actually got quite the opposite. We wanted Bernie Sanders. Democrats said, "Hey, how about Hillary Clinton?" And then on the grand stage, it was, "How about Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump?" And I don't know if anyone else is like me, but I was like, "How about none of that? Can we have none of that? Can we have even less of that?" And yeah, it's been 8+ years of what the fuck's going on here. Are you excited to watch Dexter Resurrection season 2? Thank you for that question. Yeah, yeah, I'm I got to get back into the swing of things. I have Dexter content that I've meant to like the season 7 video I meant to do. Haven't touched it. I have like 6 or 7 videos that I have like little things in, and I've just been really bad at everything. I need to get medication. I we're having some misfires on the internal wiring there. But yes, I would like to get back into that, and there's a couple of Dexter things I'd like to do. At the very least, on a week by week basis, just talking about it, whether it be by myself, spoiler stuff, watching with channel members, and or doing a weekly spoiler stream or quarterly spoiler stream or whatever with Cody. That was fun. It's fun being. It's more fun when the season kind of works. It wasn't great. Um, like the Dexter prequel thing that came out after New Blood. No, New Blood was the fuck, Original Sin. Original Sin. That was just like fan filmy shit. It wasn't as fun. It's I really hope they could just land the plane. You know, correct correct the mark from season 8. And it doesn't have to be Breaking Bad ending, but just ease the wheels down and let us walk away from this being okay. They're running uh, they're running it back, and that's good. I'm intrigued and pleasantly surprised. I refuse to read any of like the spoilers and shit though. Like people taking pictures on set and talking about, "Ooh, what could this be?" I don't. I want to be surprised for stuff like that. Like I'm not interested in that level of studying it. I wonder if Jon Stewart will run. I will vote for Jon Stewart. I don't care what party he's in. I will vote for Jon Stewart. Apparently, if it's planned to release in October, I miss yearly TV seasons. Um, yeah, but I don't mind them taking time. Like Sopranos was never a 12-month thing. Sometimes it was an outright 50-month thing. Um, if it's good, like season 4 of Sopranos was like a while, and season 4 was really good. So if it takes them a while and it's good, I'd rather wait for it. Let the scripting process and all that shit be in the oven a little bit longer. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Resurrection season 2 just takes place immediately after season 1. So season 1 was late winter. You want to, if you're going to film it on location in New York, you kind of want like an early spring type environment. I don't know. It feels like an excuse, but whatever. It can only be an improvement. Sean, thoughts on Michael B. Jordan looking for 18 million for Miami Vice and people are struggling with bills? That's pretty douchebag to me. You just won an Oscar. Wait. Nev Campbell getting $20 million for Scream 7's okay, but Michael B. Jordan asking for 18 is douchebag? Help me understand. Well, that's not fair. I don't think you're one of the Nev Campbell deserves every penny of everything. That's not fair for me to say that. But the guy just won an Oscar, so his asking price has gone up. I hope you'll be able to get some meds. Duloxetine and bupropion have been lifesavers. Bupropion makes me uneasy. Wellbutrin. I've been through a lot of it. I need ADHD meds too because I cannot focus. But yeah, anxiety I'm sorry. It's not. This isn't the talk for that. But thank you, thank you. I am trying to regulate my chemical imbalance. Know nothing of Jon Stewart. I'm not joking. He's a TV host. That's all I know. What was Donald Trump other than a TV guy? I'd rather them take time for sure. I just miss when shows like The Office would be yearly and even Breaking Bad like 1 year. Yeah. Purvis won't be coming back for like 3 years. I'm not mad at it, but I can see that backfiring. I never really got on board with that, but I haven't really given it the right shake. 18 million, that's just greedy. I never said Nev Campbell deserved it. Yeah, right. I don't know if 18 million is greedy. If you won an Oscar, it's the same thing as sports. Juan Soto makes $58 million a year playing for the Mets. People are paying it. Producers make millions of dollars just being people that sit on set. I don't know if Michael B. Jordan making 18 is douchebag. What is Robert Downey Jr. making 75? I don't think 18 million is. I don't think it's that bad. Like you can get 4 Michael B. Jordans for 1 Robert Downey Jr. So I'm not making that connection, especially just after winning an Oscar. Of course he's got to cash in on that. It took 10 years for Stranger Things to do 5 seasons of TV. Yuck. Have you watched Wolf Creek movie? Probably the best Australian horror films easily. I have. It's been a while. I watched something recently and I forgot which one. It's not Wolf Creek. Oh, Loved Ones. I watched Loved Ones. That is not the same thing. But yeah. All right. So again, sorry for the delay. We'll try to be doing these monthly things again. I don't anticipate watching 2 movies or any movies in the next 2 days. I might take in Avatar 3, but I'll be sure to overlap and consider that as part of April. Let me know down below what you saw for the first time, new, older, and different in the last 2 months, and anything that sticks out to you that you've watched for the first time. Again, doesn't have to be brand new. Just curious, like me watching the Dream a Little Dream movies. Didn't know I needed to see them. I didn't, but I ended up seeing them, and now that's over. Yeah, so until next time, I got to shake off the cobwebs. I won't be right back at it just yet. Big stream on Tuesday. We'll be doing the finals of March Hackness for TGIT. Don't know what else is coming up. The Tuesday and Friday stuff, I'm not exactly driving the streams on those, but they do pop up on this channel. So interact with that content. Let us know what you would like to see, and everything else like that. Until next time, I've been Charles. Please click like and subscribe and like and comment and like and comment.
I know it's bad.